Hello, welcome to another Wizard Wants to Watch a video. In front of you here, you have my current Bystial Dragon Link deck list that I've been tinkering around with, both at locals as well as on Dueling Book. I've had mid to moderate success. I'm still trying to figure out the deck, like how to build it most optimally. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be the ticket to defeating the Ishizu Tier Elements Tier 0 meta, but it will be something that can at least stand toe-to-toe to it unless they open the nuts. And that's the goal here. So, main deck's 46 cards. I am thinking of a couple ways to reduce that, especially when you're playing a lot of hand traps. You want to be able to actually see them in your opening hand. I'm going to go over the list. So, Rocket Package, not really going to explain that. That's self-explanatory. 2 Abs, that's just for the Ishizu cards. They're going to mill your deck. You might as well try and get something out of it. You have 1 Nocto. You don't really want to open more than one of these, and most of the time you're hoping to get it off like a safer pitch Absa kind of play. Baby Chaos Dragons, very obvious. Levianeer, Chaos Emperor. Chaos Emperor is really cool. You can do things like Bystial, banish one of the Bystials in your grave, then Chaos Emperor, bring that Bystial back and still have it on your opponent's turn. So, ton of utility there. It's really just a fantastic card. Shame it's so expensive. Maybe eventually they'll reprint again. Then you got 3 Lubellion. Lubellion is awesome. It's something that really only works in this deck and the Branded Bystial. Here, it works because it's a dragon. You can send it off Dragon Ravine if need be to get it in the grave. Or just they'll mill it with their Shizu cards and hopefully they don't shuffle it back. But the spell and the trap that you can put up, well, Branded Beast and Branded Regained are both really cool. The new Branded Trap card coming out in Photon Hypernova is insane. It's going to be really good with this card, so get your copies now while you can, because if you like playing dragons, this is a critical part to it these days. Then you have 3 Magnemite. I know this just got limited in OCG, but we're still in TCG, so we're going to enjoy being able to play the best Bystial at the highest ratio. I don't think there's anyone who's playing this at less than 3 unless you're afraid of your opponent milling them and then using Dark to bring it back. Then you got 3 Geoswarm and 2 Sarnier. Sarnier we're only playing at 2 because it's the worst one, and we don't want to open multiples of the same Bystial. So I want to kind of reduce the odds slightly of that, so that even if you open a hand of like 2 Bystials, like it won't be double Magna as much, or double Sarnier would be probably the worst case scenario, of course. But it does have extra utility in this deck. Like if you can set up Branded Beast and then use Sarnier to send Regained, then you can set up Regained at end phase with Beast, and then you are laughing. Then you have triple DD Crow, triple Veiler. DD Crow is just more ammo to hit things like Tier Elements, or even hit things like in Spright, like what they're targeting with Elf. So, really good. I think the added benefits of DD Crow is 1, it's not once per turn, so you have multiple, you are A-OK, able to go off. And 2, it doesn't summon a monster, so it is immune to things like Tier Elements Rukalos. So, I think that's just fantastic. Then we got triple Veiler. And then that kind of pairs with the triple Imperm in the bottom there. I ordered all my deck list Monster Spell Trap. I don't really organize it by like hand traps and engines and all that stuff, so that's why it looks a little messier, I guess, in a way. Well, cleaner, but messier. So these are both really good for hitting Kikalos and hitting Rogue. Like, if you Imperm or Veiler the Kikalos, like, you are probably going to do pretty well, because unless they preemptively, like, planet targeted Kikalos, and at that point you wouldn't use your Veiler Imperm. Or they have another way to send it to grave by card effect. Like, you've shut down really 3 effects with it. Like, you've shut down the search, you've shut down the special summon, you've shut down the mill 5. So, crazy utility just out of 1 card. Then, spell traps. It's all pretty standard. You have quick launches, chaos space, the 2 field spells. Then you have 2 copies of tactics. I'm only playing 2 because I don't like playing 3. I always find I draw tactics when I don't need it, which is ironic. If you want to see a card, you want to play more copies, but I don't want to see multiple. Like, you really don't. And like, tactics is really cool. It kind of shapes how you're gonna take your turn. Like, you want to sort of bait your opponent to using a main phase effect, and that's usually pretty easy, especially with decks like Tier Elements. They almost can't help themselves when they get a chance to have this, and they just drop it right away. So you can really use tactics to your advantage in that case. Then I explained Regained and Beast. Regained is like Chaos Space 2. Plus, don't forget the summon effect. Like, it is just really good. I love it. Like, you side it out going second. Same with the Beast. But, like, it's crazy when you get it set up. And then I mentioned before Beast. It's good interruption. like pair with Jurisworm, and that's like you send 2 cards. Like that's really good. And then this is like your main deck spell Trap Hate, which not as required with Mystic Mind Band, but still pretty useful with things like Dimensional Fissure and Mecha cards was laying around. So moving on the side deck, just got a couple more hand traps. So things, if you're going second, like Bystial Rebellion, these 2 come out, and then you can side in whatever you need to replace them. So I got Droll. This is for, again, this deck isn't, you know, perfect for the tier 0 meta, so you can, like, most of the anti-Ishizu tier stuff's already in the deck, so there's not much more you can do. This is more for random rogue stuff, like Danger Dark World is getting a lot more popular, so you want something, if you're playing rogue, to be able to deal with it, especially if you're playing at locals. I mean, the structure deck comes with pretty much everything you need for it, so, yeah. Then you have Triple Ash. Ash just another good hand trap. It hits Spright, it hits a lot of things, like it's... I'd rather have 3 Ash, even though it's like kind of a weaker hand trap right now, instead of like staring at these in my hand when my opponent's going first. Then we got more back row hate, Cosmic, because tournaments with Solic and Crime, you can have them not plus off it, which is nice. And then Feather Dusters, just so you can clear everything, where it's like, even if they do plus off it, it's not concerning that much. Dark Ruler no more, this over Droplets, because without the Adventure Engine, we don't have a bunch of free cards to send off Droplets anymore. And especially with grinding against Tear Elements, you need those cards. Ironically, you're not siding Dark Rule against Tear Elements, it's more against Spright, but even like Spright and Runic Spright, like, super resource heavy, and you will like fall behind quickly. So that's why you need something just like a 1 card, like shut off their field, you build your board presence, break their board, and then you just got to maintain the current advantage you have, because you're not going to have nearly as many ways other than stuff like Chaos Space and Regain to really gain more card advantage. And then Rivalry, that's like the, you know how you side like the win button for going first, like it used to be like Dimensional Barrier. Yeah, that's the one. So like D-Barrier or Anti-Spell, things like that. Like I feel Rivalry for this deck is like the win button. Like you're going to force Spright to make some super suboptimal plays to out this, when they're, especially when they're stuck on Thunders. Or you just play it when I've had it, like Spright players are playing like Kashtira Fenrir. So they'll summon Fenrir, they'll play Nimble Angler or something, or just normal MD2, and then you just flip Rivalry, and either they lose the Fenrir or they keep whatever they have and they're just forced suboptimal plays. So I think that's all. That's the most you can ask for in a Floodgate. Extra deck, it's all super standard. Like, I think the only thing that you might want to change, I mean, you don't really go into IP anymore. Like, you don't really have the resources to do that, and you're not really going into much, so I guess you drop that, but I'm not sure what you would want to go into instead. I've seen the Druid Knight of Rebar, like, put in, and someone splashing the Divine Lance and the Druid Kus. Interesting idea. Not sure how much I feel, or how well I feel about it personally, but you do have some, like, 1 or 2 flex spots. It used to not be the case, but, like, that and Scarlight are really just flex spots at this point. So that's a deck profile. I'm going to put on a clip of me playing against Spright with this exact deck. So enjoy that.